I'd like to welcome to the show writer and director of the film No Ordinary Love, Ms. Chyna Robinson. How are you today?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for joining me. Before we dive into the film, I like to ask this question. What was your first job within the movie industry?
I was a smoothie maker on set.
So I asked this question to somebody the other day, and it was just like a printed interview, and she's like, I was on set for Cheech and Chong's thing, and she was like, she rolled the fake joints. I'm like, this is great. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like I love it. That's why I love asking that question. The film, we were talking a little bit before we got on here, but in No Ordinary Life, you tackled two very touchy subjects in the world that a lot of people are kind of afraid of. And not only do you tackle one, but you tackle two of them, the ideas of the church and then the brotherhood / domestic violence within the police system. What made you not only want to tackle both of them, but then of course intertwine them?
Oh, good question. Um, as I learned more and more about this coercive control and intimate partner violence or violence, abuse inside of these different situations, I kept seeing stories about police officers. And so I really kind of dove into it. I did a deep dive into officer involved domestic violence, and I saw that um, families with police officers at their head are 40 times more likely, or 40% more times likely to have domestic violence in their homes. So, I mean, they're one of the top three professions of abusers in their homes. And I didn't know that. Like, we know we have good cops, but we also know that there are some others. And those others are the ones that I wanted to talk about. And there is that brotherhood. So if a police officer is caught with marijuana in their system, they lose their job. If they're caught abusing their spouse or partner, more times than not, they still have their job. They very rarely even get a slap on the wrist. So I thought, let's address this. And also for the spouses and partners that are in these relationships, who do you call? If you're in a dangerous situation inside of your home, who do you call? Their coworkers? Maybe not. So I wanted to do that. And then also, I'm in the Bible Belt. I'm in Texas. So church is a big deal to us.
I'm in
And
Tennessee, so welcome.
so you understand, yeah. So what we see in the church a lot, and of course not all churches, I love my church, is a lot of scriptural manipulation. There's a lot of power that the leader of the church holds over their congregation, but we don't really talk about the power and control they have in their homes. And so I definitely wanted to talk about that as well. And so that was how I created my two guys in the film. And of course, I have their opposite. So I have the good cop and I have the good minister also. So it's not like a male bashing or pastor bashing or cop bashing film. But yeah, we get into it. And I needed their stories to, like you said, intertwine or collide.
That's huge. Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
she kind of understands some of what was going on throughout.
Possibly so. But more than that, she just brought everything. She dissected this character and she was able to hit every single level. The happy, the dancing, the singing, but also the confusion and the turmoil and the indecision and all of that. I mean, she nailed it. She nailed it. I felt every single thing that she did. So
Oh, absolutely.
what I
Throughout the
was
film.
looking for.
Exactly. And then like the scenes with her and even Lynn Andrews, like he killed it. You know what I mean? And obviously it's hard to highlight. Obviously it's a character, you know what I mean? So Derek Anderson obviously was a bad person, right? But
Mhm.
Lynn Andrews, like he embodied that. Like their chemistry was remarkable. So to understand that DeAna's first role, like that blows my mind in itself. But throughout this film, there's several scenes where, including the one that you mentioned about the judge, which I literally went to throw something through my, you have those scenes in a film where you're just like, oh God, that just makes me so mad because you know what happens, right?
Mhm.
But you hear things, and I pulled a couple of these, just some things that were said throughout. A husband can't rape his wife. I've got faith, quote unquote, their daughter to take care of. You can be one of the survivors. And of course, that courtroom scene, how important was it for you to highlight these specific scenarios that are consistently thrown to the wayside?
Well, I thought it was important to include because in the research I spoke with women and counselors and hotline operators, and I wanted to know, what is it? What are the things? What are your thought processes while you're going through this? What do you hear on the phone? Um, and I heard a lot of, well, I don't think this is abuse because can it be? Or is this that? Or, whatever. And then I heard some women say, I actually did call in and report my abuser and he was arrested and the lawyers tried to get me to drop the case. The judge overlooked me. They did not believe my story because of who he was in the community. So what do you do? Like, and I thought that was important to show that side of it, to where society and the system are protecting the abuser more than the victim of the abuse on any level. And I'm not talking physical, I'm talking physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual, just the power and the control.
Yeah,
So,
mentally can be just as exhausting as physically. And
oh yeah.
watching this, it's like it's 2021, right? And all of this stuff still happens, whether it's we have videos now, we've got all of these things. We don't believe whether men or women, we don't believe men or women when they step forward. And like, how do we change that? Is there conversation has to happen? Movies like this have to come to the forefront, documentaries, whatever you want to do to put it to the forefront. But how do we make the conversation louder?
Well, I think this is a step, film, media. We like we both said people have not talked about this. And finally, we have powerful people, celebrities that are stepping forward and saying, hey, this was my story. Hey, this was when we were in the White House, and my husband was the this of this president. This was my story. These are my pictures. This is my police report. And nobody did anything because of who he was. And so we have these people stepping forward and in all cultures, in all surroundings, all levels, income levels of people. And finally, we're starting to have more of a conversation on social media. And then we have movies. We have documentaries for sure, which are sometimes on this subject a little harder to watch. But I wrote this film like this so that people who really probably don't care one way or the other about domestic violence or don't know what it is or hadn't really thought about it, now they're able to see this and they're watching the movie and they're like, wow, this is a pretty decent movie. And also, we need to talk about this thing. And I think it's important, especially for the men that watch the movie. You guys have the mic a lot of the time. So it's important to step forward and check these other men. And we know abuse can happen to anybody.
100%. But it's
Mhm.
I 100% where you're coming from, because it's true. it's on at us men just as much as on the women, because you watch it throughout the film. I can't leave. I can't leave. Again, I've got faith. What am I going to do? I don't have a job. I don't have, the man makes all the money. Like that straps people to the situations that they're in, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, when you add children to it, well, he's a good father to her. Like they have a great relationship. So do I separate them? Do I put, like, what do I do? And funny enough, when we were showing the film on the festival circuit, other than people talking back to the screen, they'd always come back and say, I was kind of rooting for the couple like Derek and Tanya. I was kind of rooting for them because in their good times they were great. And I would say, exactly. Imagine if you were in that relationship and you really felt this love from this guy or from your partner, whoever that is. And all of these things were so amazing, except when the abuse was happening. You just want the abuse to stop. You love them. You have a great relationship otherwise. So I want people to think about that and really like wrap their heads around it and say, oh, this thing is deep and it's complex and it's not as I thought when I took the project on. Okay, if somebody hits you, you run, you leave. And it's not that.
You gave me the perfect segue. Okay, so I'm watching this movie, and there's one scene in particular. You don't really laugh a whole lot, but there's one
Yeah.
scene in particular. I think you might know where I'm going, but proposing doesn't make a good husband material any more than does pouring syrup on yourself make you a pancake. I stopped and rewound it 5 times because I laughed so hard. It's the perfectly placed laugh, right? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And just take me behind it. Obviously, I'm sure it was to try to lighten it up a little bit, but give me your perspective.
Absolutely. And funny enough, that was not in the original script. We were sitting editing. Well, my editor was editing and I was there because we, talked through a lot of the scenes and things. And I said, okay, we need something right here. I need a laugh. I mean, I need a good gut laugh, right here. And that's kind of how life is too. Like, even if this isn't great, then there's this laugh. And then there's this light moment, like the kitchen scene where they're dancing and everything's great and whatever. And then they go out that night and they're at the club and they're dancing. And that's a nice romantic moment. But that laugh, I needed that. So we went back and reshot it. And it was, it actually provided quite a bit of bloopers as well, because that wasn't like after she like starts pulling stuff out of her purse and all of that. It was so funny because she asked the actor, her name is Cleisha Huckabee Butler, and she said, can I put extra stuff in my purse, like, and not tell you? And so, of course, I'm at the monitor. She starts throwing some of this stuff out that I had not written in. And I was just laughing so hard. Like it was hilarious. So that whole scene was put in, just like you said, for just that breath. So you can.
I loved it. I loved it. It was so good. Like I said, I rewound it and watched it 5 times. Like I was dying laughing. I was like, for that 5 minutes. But I guess you look at the big picture. If you look at the film as it is, it's a very traumatic film. And then of course these women are going through these traumatic moments, but you feel that laugh in there the same way that they feel those little moments in their lives with, hey, but that one time he was, he took me out to dinner, et cetera, et cetera. But fantastic. All right. So before we go here, I got 2 more things. The ending. I'm really mad at you. I just wanted to say that I'm genuinely upset with you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so blunt, but that ending, how could you do that to my heart? Holy cow. That ending was, I wasn't expecting it. I was like, all right, these two are going to drive off into the sunset. We're good to go. And and I'm not going to spoil it because I don't want, if anybody watching this, I want you to watch the film.
Right.
How could you do this to me? I'm just me personally. I don't really care about anybody else right now. But how could
Well,
you?
that's exactly why I did it. I never, in anything I do, I've never ended a story. One, I don't do cotton candy endings. I do very real, like, this is what it'll be. But I want people to sit and go, after the movie is over, like, wait, what just happened? Wait, what is this? And I just, I like mixing it up a little bit. So
I appreciate it because I love the non-cookie cutter endings that we get in a lot of different films. But
Mhm.
in my head, I think I was, and that's what I guess made it a great part for you. I mean, for the ending for you is obviously you're expecting that ride off to the sunset a little bit there, but it's just it's a mind blowing end. It was fantastic. I loved it. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'll be happier with it in a day or two. Right now, I'm still mad at you, but it's all right. But before we go, I like to ask a fun question. And I appreciate your time today. But the question I like to ask is, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh man. Um, okay, so just like I write all over the place, I don't have a genre. I am so super eclectic. My music collection is it's everywhere. So depending on the mood, I love a good Shania Twain. Um, like that's like anything, probably Shania Twain, or I might do like Shoot by Salt and Pepper. I like that's so much fun to do. So those are probably my go-tos. I have lots, like lots.
Love it.
Like Uber karaoke is now my favorite thing.
I love that. I love Uber karaoke. That's fair. That needs to be a show. I know we do carpool karaoke, but random Uber karaoke. Look at that. We're on to something here, guys. All right.
Yeah.
Chyna, thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for having me. It has been really a fun interview.